So if you're going to step into a room with me, I'm going to push you.
So
in a nice way,
push us around the room.
Push us around. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast here. I'm here with Harris, and we have a special guest today. His name is Niran Kulathungam. Niran is an award-winning leader, speaker, personal development engineer. So right now he serves as Chief Leadership Officer for the Real Estate Wealth Lab. We'll get into that in a little bit because I want to understand a little bit more of what Rule does, Niran. Niran is also the President and Chief Ruckus Maker at the Ascension Principle. It's an advisor and consulting service that helps entrepreneurs and self-leadership that looks to disrupt and build leaders within to create meaningful impact. Niran's also heavily invested in real estate. He provides coaching and mentorship for others and currently manages over 55 doors from single family to multifamily. Niran's prowess has been recognized with various awards, including REIN Multifamily Investor of the Year, Renovator of the Year, Michael Millinar Leadership Award, and others. He has been published and quoted by industry leaders such as Canadian Real Estate Wealth Magazine, that's Crew, and Rain Life Magazine. Niran, welcome to our podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here. You guys look like trouble.
We're ruckus. That's what we are.
That's right.
Niran, so you've been involved with many different things over the years, and you've really carved out a niche in helping investors in real estate. And I'm glad we were able to get you on this podcast because we're here to kind of talk everything related to real estate here south of the border. And when it comes to investments, there's obviously good investments and bad investments. You've been able to kind of determine what's good and what to look out for. So I guess let's start off a little bit because your most recent venture has been Rule, the Real Estate Wealth Lab. What is Rule for someone that's never heard of it before?
So I grew up. Real Estate Wealth Lab is really it's a new venture. It is a group of highly specialized leaders at the executive level, and we all had one thing in common. We all felt that the conversation around real estate investing was too narrow, too flat, and too repeated. It's like you listen to one person, the same thing gets regurgitated. So we also realized that there was a lot of noise out there in the world. And if you've been in the real estate game in the last 5 years, you didn't really need to be that good at it. If you bought a property, you were going to make money.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. What is it? Right time, right place, right time.
Right time.
Yeah, one
right
of those.
Place. Yeah. And people call it sophistication, but it's not. It's so what I always look for is when things go wrong, who's left standing. And so Real Estate Wealth Lab came out of a conversation where we just said, we've got to provide real time intelligence. And by intelligence, I mean, there's a lot of information, but what information is accurate? What does it mean to the investor? And how do you actually leverage that information in a way that it's going to set you up with the greater chances for success? And so out of that, this whole crew came about. And we launched 3 months ago, and we're doing extremely well. We're starting to really pick up some market share. And most importantly, we've got people that are joining us that are just stoked about what's going on because it tends to speak to where they're at.
Right. So, Niran, what's Rule's target market? Like, who is your ideal kind of person who's going to benefit the most out of Rule? Like, if I am a certain profile that needs to get in touch with you guys, what is that profile?
If you are the kind of person that says you need to do something different now in order to change the future, and you've got to the place where, like me, you're just frustrated, you feel like you're always spinning your tires and not getting ahead, and you know that one of the ways or the prominent way to do this is in the game of real estate. I mean, Dan, you're in the real estate game. Harris, you are a lawyer doing a lot of work in real estate. We understand the benefits of real estate. If you're the kind of person that says, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't know how, or I know how, but I want to leverage up. So we're really targeting two different groups of people. One is the group of people that say they want to do it themselves, like myself. I want to go out, I want to buy the property, I want to manage it, I want to manage renovation, I want to increase value in the property. I'm a do-it-myself guy. At the same time, there's a number of people that don't want to do it themselves. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't want the headache and you just want to know how to assess, define, and distinguish what is a really good investment opportunity and partnership, then join Rule. Because we talk about everything from how to do it yourself to market areas to how to invest in a REIT. What's a good REIT? How do you actually know that when you are placing your money, you're partnering up with a joint venture partner or with a REIT, that you've done the due diligence necessary to figure out whether that is a good place to place your money or not? So if you want to do it yourself, we're your guy. If you don't want to do it yourself, but you want to be in real estate, we're the group.
Oh, nice. And is there like a minimum? I kind of know the answer, I feel like, but is there a minimum that somebody should be investing to kind of join Rule, or is it what if I'm not ready to invest today, but it's something that I might be looking into 6 months down the line? Is Rule still good for me?
Yes. If it's 6 months down the line, yes, it is. If you are just looking to be part of another club that's going to talk about real estate, not push you to some kind of an action, we're not the group for you. We want people that are willing and ready to take action.
Okay. So no loitering.
There's lots of clubs. Pardon me?
So no loitering.
No loitering.
You got to get to work.
Loitering, exactly. You come into our group. I'm the leadership officer. So what I have a tendency, Dan, you know this from our history. I've known Dan for a number of years, and Harris just in the last couple of years. But I'm the kind of guy that will get underneath your skin and push you and prod you. That's what I do. So if you're going to step into a room with me, I'm going to push you.
So in a nice way, push us around the room.
Push us around. Yes. Let's get some stuff happening. Because guys, let's face it. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about stuff. I meet people party after party where they will have the same conversation I had over past Christmas, even during COVID. I still kept meeting the same group of people who all told me, oh, if I had only done this in the past. And they live in the past, but don't actually do anything right now to change the future. You've got to do something now.
I mean, it's intimidating. There's a lot of with real estate prices going up. It's like you said, past few years, it has been anybody throws money at it and it'll go up. But I think the times ahead, you really need to be a savvy investor. You really need to know your stuff in order to survive.
Absolutely, Harris. Years ago, I was looking at real estate investing, and I was trying to figure out whether I should join a group or not. And I walked in, and in the foyer was this guy. He was a black guy. I walked over to him, and the reason I walked over to him was because he looked like $1 million. I mean, he was in a gray suit, 3-piece suit. And he was walking, and I stopped him and I said, why should I join? He looked at me and he said, people think real estate is easy. It's not. You can lose your shirt in it. Join. And I joined.
Wow.
Well, let me ask you this. This is a question I often ask people. What's the best investment you have ever made in your life?
Most people are going to say their house.
Their house, exactly. And, that question was asked to me by a little old lady at a doctor's office. I have the capacity to talk to everything that moves. So I'm at a doctor's office years ago, and there's this elderly woman wearing a blue dress with flowers on it. Okay, think like, the Tweety Bird cartoons? Yeah. The grandma? That's the picture you need to have. she and I are talking, and she says to me, "Oh, my husband and I go away every year. We travel for 4 months." And I said, "What does your husband do?" "Oh, he's retired." "What did you guys do?" Because I'm curious. I want to know. Success leaves clues, right? And she says, "Oh, we have a few multifamily buildings that are all paid off, and they just give us cash and we go do our thing." And I looked at her and said, "If you can do it, I can do it." And then she asked me that question. She said, "Son, what's your best investment you've made?" I said, "Well, my personal residence." And then in the doctor's office, she looked at me, smiled really sweetly, and then said, "Why do you own only one?" And that got me. So yeah, I have made it one of my life's goals to help people change their future. I know that happens only by building the leader within and by creating enough capital so that you can actually do what you want to do in the future. And real estate, I've found to be the best vehicle to do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you start to show people a roadmap. Like, I can speak more on the finance part and structuring deals in order to find people that money. And once you kind of come up with a roadmap to say, okay, well, this is how you can do it. This is what you can unlock. This is what it's going to get you. And through the power of leverage, and being able to utilize the bank's money, all of a sudden they're able to start or continue growing a portfolio they didn't know that was possible, right? So I think, yeah, it's so important to be able to have people around you that believe in you and then also have been there and help you navigate it. Because like Harris said, it's been pretty easy the last few years to just, you could throw a dart at any property and it's going to make you money likely. But I think the next little while is going to be definitely interesting. We talked on our last podcast, inflation's up to 5.1% as of last month. So, there's definitely feeling the pinch there. And people are going to start looking at some of their investments a little bit more carefully.
I mean, for me, what I'm looking at now is before I felt personally, okay, as me being an investor, okay, I felt that there are different options that you could park your money in almost, right? You could park your money in bonds. You can park your money in government T-bills. It used to be the safest. I feel like, 2%, 3%, if you're getting that back, and inflation is 2-3%, you're maintaining value. Now you're losing value. You're losing 2-3% a year. So, and you have these huge hedge fund guys coming out like Ray Dalio saying cash is trash. Get out of it, right? And it's not even just that real estate values are going up. It's also that the value of that cash is going down and you need to peg it and maintain certain value. And I feel like real estate is a minimum of getting in. Like, you can't really rely on, and I'm not pushing real estate, I'm just kind of looking at what I've studied. And it's like, you can't rely on government bonds or any of those investment vehicles to even maintain. Forget about growing your wealth. You can't even maintain your wealth in those investments. You're almost at a bare minimum have to get into real estate so that you're maintaining it. And if you're planning on retiring, you're hoping that, when I put money away, you need more that money to make more money and not just kind of maintain. Maintaining is not the goal. The goal is to kind of get something back so that your portfolio is big enough so that you can retire comfortably when you plan on doing so. So I feel like real estate's the only thing. And I feel like in the coming years, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like more people are going to be pushed into real estate just because of the numbers. And you have to become smarter at understanding the numbers, because it's not just, you buy a house and then 5 years later you can sell it and then you'll make so much money and then you can just swim in the money, right? There's so much more to it, because if everybody is running after these same investments, the cap rates go down, the return on investment goes down. And so you need to find out, I feel like, intelligent or creative ways to extract value from that property that isn't just buy it and then rent it out. Would that be safe to say?
That is that is definitely safe to say. There's two things that you talked about that I want to kind of riff off of. One is inflation. In real estate historically has been the best asset to hedge against inflation. Sorry about that. I'm actually sitting at a dealership.
I think you're wanted in Bay 1. They need a wrench.
So I said to them, if you can't get my vehicle back to me in time, I need an office. So they gave me an office.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know.
I see some of your accolades behind you from FCA. Right. Congratulations. Salesman of the Year.
Lewis McFarland.
McFarland, yes.
So yeah, inflation's definitely.
Inflation is so. If you want to protect your money, what that means is, look, I'm a guy that always wears a hat, right? I'm always in a hat. I bought this hat, let's say, for $70 a few years ago. Today, if I were to buy it, it's going to cost me $100. But it doesn't mean that it's going to take more of my money to buy the same thing.
Yeah.
Inflation, if it goes up higher than the percentage that your money is making, you're losing money. Historically, real estate has been the best asset to hedge against inflation, to protect you so that you don't lose money. Secondly, you need to be making more money unless you are comfortable and good with what you have right now. If you are comfortable with what you have right now, then you're good. If you're not, you need to do something.
Well, I think that's a danger with inflation too, is that just the cost of a basket of goods, all of a sudden it's that $60,000-$70,000 you're making a year, 5 years ago doesn't get you nearly as much as it does today. And then if you extrapolate into the future, what's that hold for us? This is one of the things, and full disclosure for anyone that's listening, I've been on a couple of the rule calls that you guys do, and it's really interesting to kind of you jump into a lot of the different mechanics behind sort of what's happening now, and then what's possibly to come in the future and how to hedge against it. I think I was in on that call with the REIT that you guys had brought on too, and to just fully, get an understanding of how they function and how they work, the risks and also the opportunities there. There's definitely a lot to navigate in this.
There's a lot to navigate, and there's two different areas that I find people get stuck on. One is the how-to. How do I do this? How do I actually go buy a property? And people think that if you watch an HGTV show for half an hour, all of a sudden they should know
Property Brothers.
Yeah, Property Brothers. One is the mechanics of how to invest and where to invest. And people get stuck there because there's so much information coming at you, right? Where do I invest? What type of building do I invest in? How much money should I put in? All these questions come. The flip side is that most people don't get, all that can be navigated and overcome. For example, financially, right? If I need a mortgage, then I pick up the phone and call you. I don't need to figure out the ins and outs of financing a property. I rely on you. Harris, I've used you for closing on properties. I don't need to rely on my legal prowess to figure out how to get a deal done. Mm-hmm. That's where the team comes in. That's where the mechanics and the wisdom of all that lives. But there's another area that doesn't get enough airtime, and that is the ability of the investor themselves, he or she, to actually create the momentum needed. It is about building the internal person, the leader within, to actually go out and do it. Guys, I remember years ago, I bought my first investment property, and we bought it for about $110,000, I think. It was a townhouse in Kitchener.
Wow.
Condo townhouse. And I remember having to sign a check for $10,000 because we could buy it at that time with 10% down. And I remember signing that check and my hand shaking. Now I'm dealing in multi-million-dollar assets. The difference is not just the zeros. The difference is that I have built my own confidence, and I've built a team around me that provides me with the confidence needed to do what needs to be done. Without confidence, all you are is somebody that learns stuff but actually doesn't do anything. It's kind of like saying, look, I'm going to go to the gym and get buff, but I'm never going to get on the field to play. If you're not playing the game, you're not playing the game. You can get dressed up in your Lululemons and your Adidas, but you're not playing the game.
Yeah.
Right? What we do is we lend people, and what you do is you lend people your confidence in an asset, your confidence in a process. That's what we do.
I think one of the biggest things for people that are kind of looking into real estate, and yeah, 10,000 is a lot of money, and now in today's dollars that'd probably be 100,000. But I think a lot of it has to do with people's relationship with money, and I think that if you haven't really started a business before in your life, and you've been working, you're used to spending time to earn money instead of spending money to save time. And so this is more like, you can, if you want, you can try to learn it yourself. Maybe you'll be successful, but how long is it going to take you? 5-10 years? Right? And you're going to be successful based on your limited experience at that time as well. Whereas if you get a group of people behind you who have experience in several different investments, you're kind of not even consolidating 10 years, you're consolidating 100 years together, because collectively you've got so much time and so much experience that you're using that to go out and kind of use your money to save yourself time, not only in terms of the learning curve, but also the earning curve, right? Because you're kind of jumping ahead. So you're, and I think that is one of the biggest things I see with people that kind of walk through our office, that the relationship that somebody has with money dictates how they're going to spend that money. I feel like a lot of people are like, you know what if I lose it? I don't know this, I don't know that. What if this doesn't work out? But with business, you have to, and I would say real estate investment is entrepreneurship. You're making an earning for yourself, whether it's completely yourself or you're going into a joint venture, however it is. It really, your success is going to be, I feel like at least, dictated in large by your relationship with money. Would you say that's right or wrong, or where would you?
Absolutely. Harris, Dan, you'd know this. I'm a founding member of Legacy Global. And Richard Dolan, my business partner and coach for me, we have really...
He's the coach's coach, isn't he?
He's the coach's
basically.
coach.
Yeah,
basically, yes.
Yeah.
But he created a program that I have actually I've been trained in, but I have also taught. And it all has to do with getting your relationship right with money. In fact, when people come to invest with me now, if they come to me, unless they have their relationship to capital dialed in, I will not accept them as a partner. I don't care how much capital they have until they've gone through the program. Because if your relationship is not right with money, you're going to be fearful. Your confidence is going to be low. You won't know how to execute well.
Right.
So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, double-minded. If you're double-minded, that's like the perfect recipe for failure. You have to kind of go in with confidence. You have to know, at least understand who you are as a person, and build upon what you can control, so that you can understand what you can't control. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people out there that simple Google search will confirm this, but a lot of people that claim to be investment advisors and coaches, and they'll help you get money. and help you get into real estate and build wealth. But the thing I like is it's got to be a holistic approach, and you have to kind of grow that team around you and understand your strengths and weaknesses and work towards, like you said, you're not going to work with someone unless they've kind of gone through the gauntlet and really come out the other side with an understanding of what's required of them, and then what to expect when they're working with you and your team. So yeah, and that's what helps set people up for long-term success, right? I mean, you can have a couple wins, and then all it takes is just one loss to wipe everything out. So, and I've seen that. I've seen people where, they've come back, they've been out of the real estate game for 20, 25 years because they were growing a great portfolio, and then it just got wiped out, and it just spooked them so much they haven't even gotten into the point where they can own their own property, their own house. So yeah, it's so important to kind of set yourself up for success by aligning yourself.
Dan, you kind of alluded to the education model about learning stuff, or at least that's where my mind got stuck. Probably because I've got a I don't know. I get ticked off. I get pissed off with education models that are there to give you all kinds of promises and charge you an arm and a leg to provide some kind of education for you. And I think it's time that we get clued into the fact that education needs to actually move the needle for people. It needs to there needs to be a measurable change. And if not, then all you're doing is paying somebody to say the right things to you and make you feel good about what you're doing.
Right.
It gives you the experience of moving forward, but you're not really moving forward. I mean, how many bookshelves do we have filled with books that haven't been read? How many programs do people take that they don't follow through on? And most importantly, how many programs do people take that they follow through on, but at the end, they have very little to show for it?
Right.
Like some of the coaching that I do now, I've actually told clients, you can pay me for my time, or better yet, why don't you pay me a small, tiny amount, but I want an equity share in your future profit. Because then my income is connected to whether I actually make a difference for you.
Yeah, and their success, for sure.
And their success, right? Yeah. Anyway, where are we going next, boys?
I don't know. I mean, we started kind of at the end right now, where you're at today. And you've got a really interesting past too, Niran, and sort of where you came from. War-torn Sri Lanka, and many years ago. And I've known Niran for a whole lot of years too. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting voyage that you've kind of come across. You've had your own challenges, and you've overcome them too. So if I knew nothing about Niran as a person, but I wanted to get a sense of who you are and how did you kind of get to the point you are at today, like how did you start this journey? Where was Niran, baby Niran? Let's start with baby Niran.
No, that's a whole series of podcasts, but let me compress everything down. Baby Niran grew up in Sri Lanka. Came to Canada when I was 7, went back to Sri Lanka when I was 12. Most of my teenage years I was there, and then immigrated to Canada when I was around 18 years old. But my undergraduate degree is chemistry biology. I actually worked as a chemist for a few years. I got bored with it because I got tired of the lab life because I like being around people. I then did a certificate in theology, then did my master's in theology from McMaster University. I pastored and pioneered churches, so I started churches. From there, I went into business because I needed to make some money to pay off my OSAP loans. Got into building renovation, became the VP of a company. From there, once I paid off my loan, I decided to go back in the field, and I really wanted to get into the teaching field. So I ended up as a prof for Master's College and Seminary. After that, I ended up going up my talents were well accepted enough that I became associate dean. then the dean of the school. And at that point, I was getting ready to do my PhD in the area of science and religion. And it was at that time, Dan, Harris, you guys will know this. Dan, I know you know this. I ended up having a motorcycle accident. I opened up a windshield of a minivan with my head. Turns out when you do that, your brain kind of gets smushed around. And I ended up with what's called a traumatic brain injury. And it took out about 8 years of my life, where I had to learn, I could read, but I had to learn how to process written material from a grade 3 level on. So I started back with Calvin and Hobbes. That was the book I started with, the cartoons, because I could read but couldn't remember what I read. And so it was through that process of getting better, I decided that we had no money saved. We were living paycheck to paycheck. That I decided that I would buy a book called Real Estate Investing in Canada by Don Campbell. Ended up buying the book, going to a conference. Sorry, guys. Going to a conference that he was speaking at. Then joined a network called REIN. Ended up learning how to do the basics of investing, and then I got better. And instead of going back into my field, I decided I would stretch out into this business. So that's kind of the compressed version of how I got here. And now I make it my mission to help people get their relationship right with money, not just to make money. That's not what drives me. What drives me is I want to see people be able to live a really juiced up life, and to do that and to really create impact and meaning. That's the area that I push into. How's that?
Oh, that's perfect. That's great.
So
said it better than I could.
well, it's interesting. The other day, I did. I just went on to Google and did a search for top 3 things you should not talk to people about. You know what the top 3 things are? Religion, politics, and money.
Oh, that's our podcast, isn't it? No.
Right, here we go. So
yeah, so that's sort of your area of expertise, is being able to navigate those conversations.
Navigate conversations about real, meaningful life.
Yeah,
really creating an impact.
Yeah,
and money. Like if you don't do that, you're going to end up running from place to place without really feeling any sense of. I'm not a guy who chases happiness, but I do chase meaning.
I think happiness is an end, so the meaning is the means to that end. So meaning will bring you happiness.
Yes,
Safe to
meaning
say?
will bring you happiness. Yeah. I find that people that are living a meaningful life, regardless of what is happening in their life, what kind of suffering they're going through, it's not happiness, it's more joy and contentment, right?
Your heart's at peace. That's and not to plug anything in, because we do have to get going and kind of finish the podcast. But the funny thing is politics, religion, money. These are things that are near and dear to everyone, and they have to have those hard conversations before they kind of start building any kind of real wealth. They need to kind of understand and explore that, which is why it's perfect to reach out to Niran if they ever want to join Rule and understand that investing in real estate is also, it's investing in yourself first, figuring out who you are and having those hard conversations and having somebody there who's going to not just push you, but understands all the aspects and the dynamics that different people bring to the table so that you know what to push and when to push it.
Yeah. Well, here, just totally off the cuff, and stop me if if this is not acceptable to you. Okay. Here's what I'll throw out. If anybody contacts me, I will make and want some help. There's 2 things I can offer. One is I'll offer a 20-minute, which usually means a half an hour, 20-minute consult on the phone, no charge, just to have a conversation. 1. 2, if you want to explore real estate investing, join Rule, send me an email or call me, text me, doesn't matter. And I will make sure you get 30-day free trial, and you can try it out. If you don't like it, don't stay.
Yeah, that's awesome. No strings attached. Great. I mean, I think that Yeah, I appreciate you doing that, Niran. I think it's going to help out a lot of people. And I know for one, I really appreciate what you do. We've had a good working relationship, and one of the takeaways that I've learned is most of the folks that have heard of you or have worked with you, they all have great things to say. So, yeah, excited to see where you take things with Rule. And again, I know we're not polished here on the podcast, but
well, that's
you know,
obvious.
we're pretty honest, and we appreciate you joining us today.
Take
Thank
care,
you so
everyone.
much, gentlemen, for having me. And I know that the both of you are movers and shakers and hooligans and ruckus makers in your own
We
way.
are all ruckus makers here. Yes. All right, I'll talk to everyone
All right,
soon.
Talk soon.
Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
Take care.